All right, they want us to find the f of negative x using this function here. F of x equals negative 3x to the fifth plus x to the third. So what we're going to do, we're going to rewrite the function, but we're going to plug in this case, a negative x, everywhere where we see an x. Let's go ahead and do it. The f of negative x, I'm going to put it in red so you can see where I plug it in. The f of x equals negative 3 x to the fifth plus x to the third. So all I did was rewrote what was up here, but I left a blank where I'm going to drop in whatever I'm replacing for my x. In this case, I'm going to put in a negative x here and a negative x here. Now, negative x to the fifth power. Okay, when we go down to the next step, I have negative 3, and now I have negative x to the fifth power. If I came up here and I did that, if I wrote it out 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, you'll notice that an even number of negatives will give you a positive, but an odd number of negatives will give you a negative. So the first 2 negatives would give me a positive, the second 2 negatives would give me a positive, and this one's still a negative. A positive times a negative is going to be a negative. So negative x to the fifth is going to be negative x to the fifth. So I'm going to replace this with negative x to the fifth plus negative x to the third. Now in this case, the negative is also part of the base, so it's going to happen 3 times. So it's going to look something like this. And these 3 negatives will also give you a negative x to the third. So this is going to be plus negative x to the third. All right. When I multiply the first 2, a negative times a negative is going to give me a positive. So I will have positive 3x to the fifth plus a negative right here, plus a negative is a minus x to the third. Okay, and that's the answer for the first part. I found the f of negative x. The f of negative x is 3x to the fifth minus x to the third. Now we're going to come down here and they're asking us if it's even, odd, or neither. Well, if it's even, the f of negative x will equal what you started with, the f of x. If it's odd, the f of negative x will equal the opposite of what you started with, minus the f of x. Anything else will be neither. So we need to look and see if it's even, odd, or neither. Come back and look at my answer for part A. Is this exactly the same as what we started with? No, it is not. It's not even. Is this exactly the opposite of what we started with? Yes, it is. I can tell that I had a negative 3x to the fifth, and now it's a positive 3x to the fifth. I can tell that I had plus x to the third, and now it's minus x to the third. So this is the opposite of what I started with. I find that the f of negative x is the opposite, and that means that my answer is odd.